Let's welcome in Chris Broussard from Fox Sports 1. Fox Sports Radio has his own show on Sunday afternoons on Fox Sports Radio. As our NBA analyst, am I crazy, or am I seeing a different LeBron James in terms of the ease by which he dismembers these teams?
I like the way you put that. I agree totally. I mean, what he's doing, it's hard for me to sit here and say this is the best LeBron James we've ever seen because he's in his 14th year. Like, no player gets better in their 14th season. But he looks like a father playing with sons. You know, I mean, he's twirling the ball before he shoots three-pointers. He's shooting with his left hand. He is just, and his production, I mean, the efficiency, 56% from the floor. We see him dropping threes. I really believe that LeBron believes what he said the other night about I have nothing left to prove. And I think winning that championship last year against Golden State, remember the championships in Miami, they were great, you know, but that was somewhat of a ready-made team because of, you know, the superstars coming together. People still said, oh, well, Jordan built this team in Chicago. You didn't do that. You had a chance to do it in Cleveland. Well, he went back to Cleveland and did it. I mean, it was so quick that we don't think of it as a rebuild, but that's what it was. And so now you can't hold that over his head. He obviously beat the winningest regular season team ever, came back from 3-1, first time that's ever happened. So I really think he feels free, and he feels for the first time in his career, he may be playing without expectations on himself and this burden, this monkey on his back. And maybe that's one reason you see the increased production.
It's fascinating because I think on many levels we can relate to that as professionals, that there are burdens you carry. There are things you wish you did differently in the past or moments to which you weren't at your best. And if you're a smart person, you know, like, man, I got to be better. I wish I could do that. And this is where the Jordan parallel is to me. Jordan couldn't get over those Pistons. And I think people forget the ease by which he took apart. I know the Lakers were older. I know James Worthy was in his last year. They still had Byron Scott. Vlade was young and coming into his prime. He still had Magic. But they not only thoroughly manhandled the Lakers, Jordan averaged 11 assists in that series. It was a foregone conclusion he was winning. And from that point forward, it was downhill. And I kind of fear for the rest of the league. I guess I wonder when Father Time catches up with him. But he's figured out that he doesn't have a burden. And then he's figured out that if they just take care of these series, now he can rest. And then you can get the absolute best out of LeBron James in these series.
Which is really important for not only him, but his team, because they're an older team. I mean, the energy you saw them playing with defensively against Toronto, you didn't see that at any point in the regular season. So you're right, the rest are very important. If they can sweep Washington or Boston or whoever they play, then that's going to be big for them going into the finals. Now, do you have them beating Golden State? Is that your pick?
No.
You don't?
I thought to start the year that Golden State couldn't beat them because Golden State was still so, okay, do I go? Do you go? When do who goes when, right? Yeah. And it's, it's a little bit like the show that follows this one on Fox Sports 1 is called Speak for Yourself. And having been on it, I've only been on a couple of times, and it just flows because we've all kind of worked together. We all respect each other. And, we're arguing different points, but it doesn't feel as stilty.
You're not stepping on each other's toes. Yeah.
Right. When you're first working together, you're like, okay, you talk, now I talk. Like, give me a wink when you want to talk. Give me a little finger. And it's still, I feel like the Warriors, though, like, look, it's still not perfect, and they don't really have a post game, and Draymond always tiptoes that line. God, they got so much more weaponry. They just do. They have so many more guys. They have really 3 guys that can create their own shots, whereas the Cavs have 2. And then just the 3-ball puts them, as good as the Cavs are at shooting, it feels like the Warriors are a smidge better when you add in the fact that they can put Draymond out there.
No matter how well the Cavs shoot from 3, no matter what their percentage is, because it's better than Golden State's, there's no way I say they're a better 3-point shooting team than the Warriors. I'm with you. I picked Golden State in the preseason to beat Cleveland. I'm sticking with that, but I will say this. When in the preseason or even when Durant first went there, I thought it would come together quickly because, his game could fit their style. But I was probably at that point 85% Golden State over Cleveland. Now I'm probably more like 70 to 75% because of the way LeBron is playing. He's playing so well and he is so dominant that I cannot write them off and say they don't have a chance. Now, Doug, I've said Jordan is the GOAT to me.
Me too.
But I've said if LeBron wins this championship and next year, that he would maybe be the GOAT then. Or at the time, I said he would be the GOAT. I'm haggling over that now.
All right, I'll give you my thoughts on that. Plus, I got to figure out why we can't get even one close game from the Spurs and the Rockets. Why that can't happen. Jenny Taft alongside. I'm Doug Gottlieb filling in for Colin. Chris Broussard will continue to join us next. This is The Hurt. Chris Broussard, Fox Sports NBA analyst, continues to join us. I noticed something different. We talked about the ease by which LeBron James played. I noticed something different in Kevin Durant on Saturday night, right? Like, people kind of forget, like, that's a bad boy now, right?
Yeah.
Like, Carmelo used to be the best scorer in the league. Now it's Kevin Durant. Like, Kevin Durant is the best scorer in the league because he can score at 3 levels, at 3, mid-range, and post up or at the rim. And he's 7 feet tall. He can handle. But there was a different. He had a little Mr. Nasty in him. Is that the influence of Draymond Green?
I think it is. Look, we've seen him in the past in Oklahoma City, cursing people out and, getting technicals. But it always felt kind of forced, right? Like he was trying to be that guy when he really wasn't. And Draymond, they're very close. Draymond is, one of the closest guys on the team with Durant, probably the closest. And he kind of sees it as his mission. From talking to people up there, this is what I'm told, his mission to bring out the best in Durant. Like, he feels like, as great as Durant already has been, that he can be much better if he gets what you're talking about. And so, yeah, Draymond's trying to bring that out. And a lot of people see it. One person whose opinion I very much respect about basketball, close to some of the top players in the league, he told me he believes that Kevin Durant is the most talented basketball player ever. Because he's 7 feet.
Yeah.
He shoots better than Michael, LeBron, Kobe, any of those guys did. He handles at least as well, and he can do it all. Basketball. And
he started to become a better defender. He's used his length defensively.
This year he was really good defensively.
He's an athletic Dirk, and he seems to have a lot more toughness to the defensive end than Dirk. I think it's fascinating to watch kind of his personal evolution throughout this season, where it was a little bit too much ISO early, and now he seems to be kind of feeling it out. And on days he has it, he goes, and on days he doesn't, he doesn't. I do think that if Draymond could actually be really, really good for him, because end of the day, you can't hate KD and hate Draymond, and so Draymond still gets a lot more of the attention.
Doug, and you played college basketball, so you know that whenever guys are yelling at each other and arguing, 9 times out of 10, it's nothing.
Yes.
Whereas I hate it when the media, like, they see Draymond yelling at KD on the court, and now we think they don't get along, they hate each other. That's hardly ever the case. Right. Occasionally it can be, but it's usually a positive thing, something, or even if it's a real argument, you forget about it and go on your merry way. Later that evening, you're hanging out together. So I think Draymond's going to be great for him. And what's interesting about KD with these Warriors, he's shooting less than Klay and Steph in general. Like, over the last few months of the season before he got hurt, they were taking more shots, but he's so efficient. You're really seeing how great he is now because he's getting easier shots than he ever has.
The great ones always have, this is the basketball expression is they got that MFer in them, right?
Yeah.
They got it inside them that every once in a while, like, you know what, I'm just going to win this game. And that seems to be coming out of him. And look, we can tell the Kevin Durant to Golden State story however we want. To me, the basketball player in me says, dude, you kidding me? This guy had kind of Camelot, right? He had a city in his fingertips. They had all that young talent around him. And to give that up, to sacrifice his ego to go in and play with these guys, and it was their style, their game, and really he's playing like Like their sale to him was like, hey, you're playing the Harrison Barnes role. Like, whoa, wait, what? What? The Harrison Barnes role? That's not exactly. But all of them sharing the spotlight speaks to the type of people that they are. I think so oftentimes we get it twisted, whether it's media or fans. Like you want to be surrounded by the best. LeBron's done the same thing. He went to Dwayne Wade's team. Why? Because you want to be surrounded by guys that can play. You can't do it by yourself. And he's done the same thing going back to Cleveland.
I've said the same thing. I think it's slightly different, but I think what LeBron did going to Miami and what KD did going to Golden State are very similar. In principle, it's the same thing. I want better players around me so we can win championships. And we kill these guys. A lot of times we say they just want money. They just want fame. They just want to be the man. But then when one of them sacrifices all of those things to win, we criticize them.
No, that's what we do. Let me ask you quickly, why can't we get a good game between Houston and San Antonio?
I think it's going 7. And I think Game 7 will probably be a good game, hopefully. This is similar to Cleveland Golden State in the finals last year.
Exactly.
Great series, but all the first 6 games were blowouts. And it seemed even Washington, Boston has been a little bit like that. So hopefully we'll start getting some more competitive games, not just competitive series.
Feels like John Wall's close to taking that step to the threshold of the elite play. I mean, yesterday he was amazing. That 26-0 run, Brad Stevens couldn't do anything to stop that thing.
Wall is tremendous. And I felt he was he was the best player in this series, but I had to give it up to Isaiah Thomas in those first 2 games. But now Wall has reestablished himself. This is the thing, though. He is a true point guard. He gives you 20 points, but still is a true point guard. So he needs that other guy to be able to do a lot of scoring. So if he gets that from Bill, they're in business.